Morning. Grab your coffee, kids. Settle in. Today, we are going to unpack a housing market twist that flips one of the biggest assumptions that buyers make right on its ear. Realtor.com came out with an article this week that and I don't typically let these things get to me, but they came out with an article this week, one of the major representatives for real estate agents in this market that started its speech with the $25,000 reason buyers should reconsider new construction. Most people look at new construction homes and think beautiful. Yes, expensive. Definitely. but what if that's not actually true? This analysis from realtor.com states that a new home can actually be cheaper to own over time than a traditional resale home. And not by a little. We're talking on the average of over $25,000 saved in a 10-year period compared with a 20-year-old house, right? And everybody knows, if anybody has been a part of the show for very long, go back, listen in. Feel free to see how I take apart a CMA and where I find the most values in builder quality and homes, especially the older homes that hit 20 years in Florida, particularly where it's time for the roof to be replaced. The air conditioner has needed to be replaced by now. The big hot water heaters, your electrical needs probably to do some updating. The big 4 points certainly need some intense attention by this point. If not, just general dating. I can walk into a home and tell you the difference if this house has existed for 20 years or more. I can immediately tell you by the build, by the style of the layout, by the colors in the house, just about how old it is, and the pitch of the roof inside, the pitch of the ceiling even will tell me who the builder was in this area. But that's the headline. $25,000 reason buyers should reconsider new construction. Underneath is what I find the most interesting, the most important, especially in a market like this where affordability is stretched in every single direction. So today, we're going to break this down in a way that makes sense. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a move-up buyer, an investor, or just someone that loves understanding real estate landscape, happy to be here with you. Welcome to the show. This is all about real estate. The big myth about new houses. Let's start with the myth. New construction is too expensive. The conversation points out that there's an assumption that's widespread that shapes buyer behavior before they even start house shopping. The data, however, shows something very different. Nationally, new homes cost more upfront. That part is absolutely true. But when you factor in utilities, maintenance, major system replacements, total cost of ownership, this flips the script. The report's economist, Joe Berner, puts it in big quotes for us. Choosing new construction expands a buyer's budget. Why? Because what buyers think they can afford in an older home shrinks once you start accounting for the hidden cost of owner operation of a house. So what are these hidden costs? What actually makes that older home expensive? This is where that article really gets into kind of the meat of the issue. Older homes come with aging HVAC air conditioner systems that don't know the terminology, poor insulation, outdated windows, older roofs, inefficient appliances. All of these things drive up monthly carrying costs and future capital expenditures. And again, here at Keystone, we are a property consulting firm. So we treat every single transaction, every single property that is bought or sold through Keystone as an investment. Why is it an investment? How much did it cost when you bought it? Where should you be getting rid of it, or when should you be selling it inside of the market? When is it going to save you the most amount of money or earn you the most amount of money on the turn? One of the builders that is quoted out there, Robert Barrage, says plainly, a home with an older HVAC system, poor insulation, and outdated windows might look attractive on paper, but buyers are going to underestimate how quickly those inefficiencies are going to add up. Ultimately, the technology has surpassed you. They're stating in the older house that even the technology behind HVAC, the technology behind and the way wiring has been done, the way insulation is preparing, and the breakdown of insulation over time, the inefficiencies that are wrapped into these appliances. Ultimately, they've done a better job of creating power for all of these houses, but the houses haven't improved in their efficiency on how to use it. So here's the kicker. Utility rates continue to climb. One estimate finds that annual shelter and utility expenses rose from about $4,934 in 2025 to almost 15% growth in just 5 years later. That is not a small number. I mean, that's a budget breaker for a lot of families. And in 2025 alone, electricity was shut off more than 13.4 million times due to unpaid bills. So when you buy an older house, you're not just buying a house, you're buying into a higher risk cost infrastructure. The house stops becoming an asset and starts becoming a liability at a certain turn. And all of this is tying to the common market. So again, as an investment company, as a real estate consultancy, you need to understand that we watch not just the house, but the market and the costs of that market that are affecting the ownership of that house. That whole article doesn't just account for expected utility increases, but it actually says that the cost savings estimate are conservative. Why conservative? Because if energy prices rise faster than expected, and historically they often do, the savings from a new house become even more pronounced. New home versus old home. Quote in the article, again, the most expensive energy, the most pronounced the savings relative to buying an existing home. So new homes aren't just cheaper today, they are positioned to stay cheaper as energy costs climb. You need to understand that when I tell you there's a difference between new home and old home costs, it's not just the rising costs of real estate. I hate to say it, but that's a constant. That's like saying as a renter, my rent should never go up. That is a misnomer that will never happen. So where can buyers save? Where is it possible for them to actually do the savings? Let's talk geography for just a minute, because again, this is a national show. We are based and rooted right here in Florida. That's where 80% of our business comes from, but we do business in other states. We do a lot of referrals in other states as well, and we do business in and out of the country too. So for the Northeast, let's talk about the US. The Northeast probably leads the nation in 10-year savings. Massachusetts, you can save upwards of $39,000 in that time period. New Hampshire, $36,000. Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, $34,000. Why the Northeast? Two reasons. Colder climate means higher heating costs. Stricter energy minus energy building codes puts you in a position where electricity prices that are around 31.4 cents a kilowatt hour can be some of the highest in the country. So when you build a new home with modern insulation and efficiency systems, the savings stack up really, really quickly. But at what point, Alex, does savings erase that price gap? There's the kicker, and this one's important in Florida. I find this part incredibly fascinating. 16 major metros, 10-year savings are so large, they completely erase the upfront price difference between a new and an existing home. Look at San Diego. And the reason I'm going to pick San Diego is because the numbers are just so obvious. New home median price, $1.226 million. Existing home median price, 1.210. That's a 16,000 price gap right there. But at a 10-year savings, new over old, of $29,243. So the new house ends up being cheaper over the 10-year period as that option. Same story in San Antonio, Texas. Price premiums are at about a $10,500 gap. Savings of $18,227 over 10 years. This is the kind of math buyers rarely do, but absolutely should. When I talk to my kids about home ownership, it's about the total cost of ownership. When I talk to corporations about enterprise level technology solutions, it's about what's your total cost of ownership. Your upfront fee is not what you need to be concentrated on. Your total cost over 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that's what you need to consider. And I'm going to prove my point. Tech firms out there, large ERP solutions out there, you realize you've been sitting on your ERP solution for 20 years? Roll back your total cost of ownership, and I want you to be able to see in the numbers in your accounting department at what point you were gaining value from that system versus it being on life support because the technology was so old. Houses, no different. A house is birthed, a house is created, a house is moved into, the valuation starts changing from day one. The difference is, at a 20-year-old house versus a brand new build, where are you on that spectrum? Are they closer than you think? Where is the total cost of ownership breakdown? And let's not forget about incentives. Incentives change based on the environment that you're dealing with too. In this current market, although I would consider it very balanced in this area of Florida, meaning that the seller and the buyer truly need to come to the table and be open to negotiation for each other, versus a seller's market where the sellers command the price versus a buyer's market where supply and demand is king and the buyers have the largest hammer to wield at the table. Right now, new home builders are struggling selling houses. The cost of borrowing money is still too high to in price to allow more people access to those funds. So one of the things that you're going to have problems capturing in your head when you are talking about going to a new home builder is, what about all the incentives they're offering? Same thing with a balanced market for a resale home. What are the incentives that I'm getting? What are the additional negotiations that are being given back to me as the buyer that can make up this difference? That article, by the way, shares a great example of a family in Arizona needing to move, but didn't want to give up their 2.5% mortgage rate that they got years ago. The builder now offers a starting rate of 4.99. They negotiate it down to say 4.373. And obviously this is an amazing case story because you should take 4.33 all day long, every day in this market. But that's a game changer. And it isn't rare. I need you to understand that the report found that new construction buyers are actually paying 1% less on their mortgage rate than an existing home buyer on the average. And at a $450,000 home, that's $250 a month saved. $30,000 over that 10-year period that we're using as our optic here. You need to understand that that alone rivals your utilities and maintenance savings. So again, when I say total cost of ownership, you're buying the house. It comes with power. It comes with water. It comes with all of those additional sewer and garbage utilities. That's a cost of owning the home. It comes with property taxes. It comes with homeowners insurance. It comes with flood insurance, depending on where you live in Florida. It comes with catastrophe and hurricane insurance, depending on where you live in Florida. It comes with external fire and act of God coverage, depending on where you live in California and Colorado. Let's not even talk about warranties. Warranties are a hidden bonus. One of the biggest factors that the report doesn't even talk about is a builder's warranty. Most homes come with 1-year workmanship warranty, system and structural warranties. And if the warranty covers an HVAC issue or a major systems failure, that is money that model assumes that you would spend, but you don't. My daughter, she'll probably beat me if she heard that I was using her as an example, bought a brand new house. Their house is coming up on 2 years. We obviously track my family's investments even more strategically than my clients that pay into a service. My coming up on 2 years, as soon as the warranties clip, HVAC problem, appliance problems. Same thing that happens to you when you buy a brand new car. The second that manufacturer's warranty is out, that is when things are going to break. But you need to consider, and this is what I had to tell my daughter, but for the last 2 years, no maintenance was imposed on you, or at least none of the cost. If you did it right, you called the warranty company for every little hiccup that happened in that house for the last 2 years. So the real savings there is going to be a whole lot higher than any of this article even assumes. So what's the nuance? Not all old homes are a money pit. The article does end with an important reminder. It talks about far more nuanced than simply looking at the year a home was built. A well-maintained older home that has been updated along the way, has been maintained appropriately. If it needed something fixed, it got fixed. If it needed something replaced, it got replaced. Those houses, and this is the differentiator in the Florida market especially. Yes, we have plenty of homes available. Of those homes, how many of them are less than 20 years old? Of those homes, how many of them are in your area? How many of them are in the area that you want to look in? Even tighter gap. So it is critical that you are understanding the condition of the infrastructure of the house, not just the aging of the home. Again, a well-maintained older home with updated systems as it's supposed to have been updated and repaired, and they'll have all the records for that. A good seller, a good ownership listing has all of the documentation to show what's been done. They can prove it. Permitting is our public record. You can see when the roof was replaced. You can see when a hot water heater was replaced. You can see when they have done fixture updates and upgrading and repainting. You can see all of those things. And that is stuff that will save you in the long run beyond just the settling of a new home. So what does all that mean? Alex, you've thrown an insane amount of facts at me today. So where do you actually land on it? What's my takeaway? The cheapest home is not the one with the lowest list price. It's the one with the lowest total cost of ownership. Your TCO is what you need to start buying your houses with. For the record, I don't care if it's a new house or an old house, but none of you are taking all the considerations into play. Your new construction offers lower utility bills because of the technology and the systems that are being used today that didn't exist in that 20-year-old house. There are fewer major replacements in a home in the first 20 years of ownership, in the first 20 years of its existence. There is better energy efficiency. There are traditionally, with new home builds, lower mortgage rates than the industry standard for a resale home. You must consider the builder's incentives. That money given back to you up front that came off of the price of the home makes a difference. Warranty protection. Warranties are money saved. And in my world, money saved is money earned. So you need to understand that if you're going to have a warranty, you need to use the warranty. And kids, for those of you that have an insane amount of insurance out there, I'm going to tell you too, listen up. If you have insurance, use it. It is not to be purchased so that you are just sitting on it for just in case an emergency happens. It's not called emergency coverage. It's called insurance. It's a reduction of cost for maintenance. Use it. Use the hell out of it. And in a lot of markets, these advantages don't just narrow the gap, they erase it. So if you're out there shopping for a new home or an existing home in 2026, do not just write off new construction because the sticker price is higher. Run the numbers. Look at the true long-term costs. And remember, a home that costs less to buy isn't always the home that costs less to own. I've got a great short script for this situation too. If any of you are interested in it, there is a Q&A segment as well if you want to really get into it. But I would love to share with you an outline for the things that I'm talking about today that expose the fallacies behind this article. $25,000 reasons buyers should reconsider new construction. The premise behind all of that is a complete fallacy. And if you have a good real estate agent on your side, they're going to use their real estate goggles to make you understand the value of, say, a 20-year-old home that's been renovated and updated over the years, and why you will have a better market margin when it's time for you to sell that property than if you were to ignore the new home opportunities. So look at every penny, look at every cost, look at every situation, and I promise you, you will see the differentiator, whether it's on the new home or the older home side. Let us know if we can help you out. Give us a call here at the show. We're happy to do it. Good luck to all of you that are out there selling in the real estate market. Don't be scared to talk to a builder and dive into the true costs of new construction versus resale homes. Do great things and do good business. Take care, everybody.